All right, we're going to continue our work on the tutorials here. We're moving on to section 13. Topic is helpers. And what you can see here at the beginning of this section, if you want to call it that, is a whole lot of information. But we have learned about this topic a little bit, so we're kind of like revisiting it in a way, and then we're going to tweak some of the stuff that we've already been working on. But helpers are little snippets of programs that are kind of built into this architecture that kind of help us create certain types of HTML stuff automatically by using certain directives. They kind of break them down into three different categories. So things that help to create inputs, things that help to create links, and things that help to create forms. So those are the three categories. And then if you look real carefully here, I was pretty impressed with how comprehensive this list is, because usually what a book will do, like our other book, lists a few, talks about kind of what they do, and then say, hey, good luck, go to Microsoft and find the rest. But here they actually went through and they really broke it down pretty heavily. And you can see there's pages, up on pages, up on pages. We're on C, now we're on D. So you can see there's quite a bit here. Yes, I am going through it. I'm not going to read those to you. You can read those yourself. So this is a list, and it shows what all these different helper methods are. And these are available by just simply calling them and then passing them the proper parameters. So it's like a good portion of the chapter here kind of fell into this category. The next thing that they're going to have us do here, so now we're on page 94. You know, and initially I looked at this and I said, boy, there's a lot of pages. But we just blew through 10 of them. So it's half as many as I thought. But they want us to look at the thing that we were just working on. So instead of starting something new, we're actually continuing our work here. So I'm going to start pulling this stuff over to the other screen here and jump back to Visual Studio and hoping I still have my code open, and I do. And what they want us to do is look at the employee controller, and then take your mouse there and start scrolling down. And it says you'll see a number of operations that started with HTML, like HTML action link and HTML display for. And actually, we're not looking at the controller file, we're looking at the view, so I apologize. And I think we kind of already did this, but it shows you that really what we were doing here, and these were generated automatically, please keep that in mind. They are razor directives, but these are helpers. So when you see HTML display name for, or HTML action link, these are perfect examples of these helpers and actions. They are automatically generated in this case, but there are, I mean, you can use them manually too. I mean, that's absolutely a good thing to do. So now we're at the bottom of page 95, and you're going to notice that he goes into this little retort here talking about an example. So I'm going to let me pull this document back over so you guys can see it. You know, and he points out, you know, the action link and how this stuff all ties together. Now, some of this is built upon the models and the data and the class files that you've worked with. But what they're doing here, it says in the action link helper, the first parameter is the link, which is edit. So that's the link. The second parameter is the action method in the controller. So somewhere we have an action method called edit. So it could be called something else, but the default, you know, when you use the scaffolding, is edit. And then the third parameter is the ID of any particular employee you want to edit. Here it's set up as a generic, but whatever, like if you set it up in a loop and it keeps reading it back, it'll pull back that data. Now what we did, you know, do last time is we did pull in that JSON formatted information into the class file so that when we did run the application, it had something to put up on the screen, so we didn't just put nothing up there. But that's, you know, basically what it's doing is it's finding that ID field and then pulling back the data for the person that's associated with it. Okay, so I think that's a fairly clear thing to do. So now we get to the first action that we have to perform here. Where are we? We're on page 97, just short of the top there. And what they want us to do is, it says, let's update the edit action. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to go and find that action, not in the employee file, but in the controller file. So find action result edit, and you'll have to scroll down a little ways. And then the one that we're going to be working with is this first listing here, not the HTTP post one, but the one right here. All right, so what they would like us to do, we still will be returning a view, although that will now return employee. So you can go ahead and type that in right now, that's fine. And then right above it, they want us to add 2 lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to type these in the old-fashioned way. Fancy that. Dropped an employee so quickly I didn't have a chance to adjust. And then we're going to just call this emp list with a capital L, so employee list. And what that is going to run is the method called get employee list. Put some parens in there and a semicolon. Then we are going to create a variable here called employee, so now that other red underline will go away. And what's going to populate that is that employee list dot single. So you can right away interpolate that, right? So it's going to pull back a single one. And then we're going to see this little curious syntax here, where we're going to be pointing to a particular ID, a particular employee, and be careful with the syntax here because it's got to be just like this to work. All right. So the other point that he makes here right after the box on this page, if you're following along, says now we know that we have an action for edit, but we don't have any view for these actions, so we need to add a view as well. So that's our next step. So if you guys remember how to do that, you have to make sure you right-click right inside this method somewhere, and then just click Add View. We are going to keep the name as edit, makes sense. The template that we're going to use, of course, is going to be the edit template. The model class, you only have one. It will be employee. And then if you look at the tutorial, notice they have a data context class. That's not really of concern to us here. Notice that it doesn't even exist in 2017. And we do want to uncheck reference script libraries. All right, and if you guys are okay with that, go ahead and click Add. All right, and then it creates basically what is the default view. Notice again the model's being pulled in. We're not attaching to a layout. And then it once again starts to use a whole bunch of HTML helpers. So all with Razor directives. All of them are specified as to how they work in all the tables that you saw above. You should scroll through the code and kind of examine the structure that's being built here. We're not building a table this time at all, right? Because we've got to remember this is the edit feature. So we're creating the interface that's going to allow for that. So it's going to create all the fields that it believes is necessary to be able to do the editing that we need to control that. So that's what we're looking at here. So you see things for name, you see things for date, joining date, for age, and then of course some sort of a button so you can submit it at the bottom. So now we're moving on to page 100. We're about in the middle of the page where he starts to do his next bit of explaining here. And what I think is kind of fascinating is he didn't say go ahead and run this. Did you guys notice that? But we can make the anticipation that we might need to do a little more work before that happens. All right, so I think we have a fairly good understanding of what's going on here. So let's move on. And we also, he says, need to change the the edit action for post. So, in other words, we just created the view so that we can make the change, right? But then what happens after you hit the button and you've made the change? We need a view that goes with that too, right? Excuse me, we need to kind of make a couple of adjustments here. So now we're on page 101, and what we're going to do is we are going to adjust this section of code. So in the try section, we need to add a couple of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy paste my code over to just basically save on time because we are kind of running low on it here in class. So I'm going to copy that. It is going to come in messy. I'm anticipating that. So I'm pasting it. And then I'm going to separate the statements onto their own lines. So we have an if statement here. Yes, that is supposed to be a comment. And this is supposed to actually be code. And then we will return view employee. So if you want to do it kind of like that. And there is a curly bracket here, and I almost kind of didn't see it, honestly. So that's in the try block of this code. And I'm actually going to bring this curly bracket out a bit here. There's nothing we need to do in the catch section. And I think at this point we're probably ready to run it. So yep, indeed, at the bottom of page 101, he wants us to go ahead and run the application. So let's go ahead and click that. We will have to append employee to the URL. Now I'm getting build errors. Are you guys getting build errors? Okay. So let's see if we can resolve those. So let's just click no. And I want to take a look at what might be triggering this. So here it says emplist does not exist in the current context. Once again, let's look at the potential fixes and try to figure out what is going on. All right, so I'm going to just really quickly pause the video here for a sec while I try to figure this problem out and give you the fix. So just a moment, please, folks. All right, so we're making some educated guesses here on how to fix this. So my guess and Jason's guess here in class too is we're noticing that the reason that's underlining is here, or up here where it actually is not underlining. It's the same statement, you guys notice, right? But it requires the fact that the employee list does actually exist in this context. So I guess one thing you could do is you could move this to a global level where it could be seen, but that's not really very smart. So my fix would be that we grab this code and add it to that other section. I'm just going back to the results here, or the code that they're providing, just to make sure I didn't miss something somewhere, and I don't think I did. So I'm going to just copy that down and add it here and save it. You can see the underline went away. So this is educated guess, folks. So now I'm going to go ahead and try it. So let's hit run. We will have to append to the URL. We have to add employee to the end of it, so don't freak out. And there's our list. Now, hypothetically, what's happening is we should be able to click on edit and get a form, and you can add some stuff in there and hopefully save it. Right? Now, maybe that wasn't the best thing to change. Let's try a different one. Maybe we should just change the age. That's a popular one. Notice this has the little up-down buttons on it, so let's make this guy eternally 29, or 30, 31, whatever, and save it. And then, is it actually changing? Is yours changing? No, mine's not changing either. So we do have some sort of an issue here. Now, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to see if I can figure out how to fix that really quick, and then I'll pop right back into the video and show you the fix. Unfortunately, folks, we have run out of time here in the classroom, and we've tried a bunch of different fixes and are still kind of stuck right here. Now, for those of you working on this, I am going to try to figure out a fix, and if I figure out the fix without having time pressed upon me here to get home, we'll record a separate video and post it in. Or if any of you figure out a fix, let me know. Otherwise, if I don't come up with a fix, however far you get is this. I mean, the objective is that we should be able to make the change and have it stick in the data. The problem is the way the stuff's being pulled in the first place, because every time you run that method, it recreates it. So no matter how many times you save it, these variables will get rewritten again. So it's not going to do us any good. All right, that's it for tonight, and we'll see you guys next time.